welcome to this episode of Kennedy Saves the World. It's debate night, and that means almost absolutely nothing because 98% of the voting population is actually paying attention to tonight's CNN presidential debates. They've already made up their minds. They know who they're voting for, and if they're not voting at all, they don't care. They won't be watching. There was a lot of speculation. Why did President Biden agree to this debate so far in advance of not only the conventions, but the election itself? Because we do tend to hold these things a little bit later in the election cycle so people can go ahead and make up their minds, usually after the conventions, because that's when you know who your vice presidential nominees are going to be, and they have their own debate. Typically, there are 3 presidential debates, and now we are down to 2, and it will be between 2 cranky old power-hungry men, and if one of them has been in his hyperbaric chamber and the other has had a nap and some McNuggets, then they will both be in fighting form. Now, just in the past couple months, former President Trump has showed more stamina, more energy, more passion, and more wherewithal because he has been shot out of a cannon over his various legal troubles, whether it be in civil court or especially the Manhattan courtroom where he was chained inside to what he called an icebox for weeks and weeks and weeks, where he was allegedly sleeping and farting. No one really knows. We know that he was convicted of 34 felonies, and that hasn't made a dent for President Biden. He has not had any upward momentum since that conviction. And since then, with former President Trump being so excited and, for him, very disciplined and on message, Joe Biden has gone in the opposite direction. Obviously, President Biden's son has been convicted of his own felonies. Oh, no. What strange time. If someone had told you 12 years ago this is where we'd be, would you believe them? I'm guessing maybe you wouldn't, because we were still in the Pierre Delecto phase where people thought that maybe Mitt Romney was going to beat Barack Obama. Well, obviously, that didn't happen. And Mitt Romney, there's absolutely no way he could win. No normal person can do anything in this election cycle. That's why the third craziest person, RFK Jr., is making a lot of headway with younger voters, which is interesting because I am one of those people. I believe there should be a proliferation of voices on the stage. If someone is polling above 5%, they should absolutely be on the stage. I know the Commission for Presidential Debates, which really isn't involved. They're completely irrelevant anymore. They were formed essentially by the 2 parties to keep Ross Perot out of presidential debate stages forever. So now you're stuck with the 2 people that, everyone says they don't really want to vote for, but they will. So it's going to be the subtleties. That's what we're going to be looking for. I know there are a lot of Trump fans who, when he has rallies and he goes off script, that's when he is the most entertaining. It is his sides. It is either that or when he gets most fired up and he calls either Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden out for their total BS. That's when people really tune in. And he also knows how to maximize a moment, and that's what he will be looking to do. What we're hearing from President Biden's team, whoever is leaking this stupid information, because this was a really dumb thing to leak to the press, is that they're going to try and trigger Trump. That Joe Biden is going to try and remember phrases. He can't remember when he was vice president. Sometimes he can't even remember that he's president, but somehow he's being entrusted by all of his advisors and handlers to remember a bunch of one-liners and really needle Trump and try and get him to seem mad and unpresidential.
Don't go anywhere. More Kennedy Saves the World right after this.
Well, I think people would be more shocked and put off if he actually showed up sane and presidential, because that's not what they're looking for. It is no longer a popularity contest. We're not looking for shellacked hair and polished talking points. We're looking for someone who can forcefully explain how they're going to make things better, because people would argue that both of these men have made things a lot worse. I think President Trump's biggest vulnerability will be COVID. President Biden's biggest vulnerability will be being President Biden, because he not only had a bad COVID reaction, He has done everything else wrong. So what can he do right tonight? I don't even know. I mean, there's nothing he could say at this point that would change my mind because I think he's a big government statist. I think he has outstayed his welcome. I think that he is the carton of milk that has expired, and it is time for him to go. President Trump, when he's at his best, he is a phenomenal counterpuncher. He can be wildly entertaining when he's provoked. So triggering him might be the biggest gift that President Biden could give to the viewing audience, because at least it would make this kind of fake contest entertaining. So why is it so far in advance of the election? Because President Biden, if he doesn't do well, he wants people to forget. There are many on the left, like my friend Charlemagne the God, who have said if Biden doesn't do well tonight, if he completely bombs, he should be off the ticket. You have to remember, this guy has been in office since Ulysses S. Grant ran for his third term in the 1880s. So don't count Joe Biden out. The need for power is almost more of a driving factor for a human being than the need for breath. I don't think he's alive all the time. I don't think he breathes all the time, but I think he wants to hang on to power. His wife wants to hang him to hang on to power, and she's the one who's dropping the plunger, putting the vitamin B shots and the God knows what else into him during every big event like this. And that's also why we haven't seen President Biden for days, because they hide him, they rest him, they cure him, and they do put him in the hyperbaric chamber so he can function optimally for 90 minutes. That's all they need out of him. Twice, 2 90-minute stints between now and November. He's not really going to campaign that much, so this is pretty much all we'll get. So, boys, make it good. Sorry RFK Jr. is not on the stage. I think Chase Oliver would have been over his skis here. He's a nice kid, but we'll have to take what we can get at this point. So far, we've gotten a lot of crazy. So don't let us down, you lunatics. This has been Kennedy Saves the World. I'm Kennedy.
Listen ad-free with a Fox News Podcast Plus subscription on Apple Podcasts, and Amazon Prime members can listen to this show ad-free on the Amazon Music app. Oh, go ahead and leave me a review while you're there. I'd love to hear what you have to say. You've been listening to Kennedy Saves the World on the Fox News Podcast Network.